One small team of 2 Bolivian communicators and myself, a communication person from the Man-Up group, had the privilege of going into the heart of Bolivia to record in video the interpersonal communication used to promote behavior change among the families of the USAID-funded Community Health Project under the NGO network PROCOSI. During this trip, we recorded 32 home visits. We also recorded interviews and positive comments of supervisors and coordinators of the NGOs. In this video, we are focusing mostly in the human aspect related to the activity. Renato cried, first softly, then louder. "Mother, give me chicha." It is the most simple beverage made of grounded corn and water. She didn't have it. "Go, Renato, to grandmother's house and ask her for chicha," answered the mother. This happened while I was recording the visit to this home. The volunteer was telling the mother about cares on her newborn baby. Mariana was the mother of 5 children and was walking toward the health center a 4 miles distance. Behind her, an 8-year-old girl was carrying in her arms a 2-month-old baby. She had suffered a stroke when the first child was born, but still she managed to give birth to 4 more children. Now her husband finally consented for the operation for a tube ligation surgery. Hortensia was content to have her husband with her today when the health volunteer was visiting to check her pregnancy. She wanted a final push to convince her husband about tying her fallopian tubes. The volunteers call him Patricio, our facilitator, and they are happy when he can accompany them to visit the homes under their responsibility. He has to travel 40 miles by motorcycle to get there, but for him it's a distraction. He enjoys riding his motorcycle. Alexia is also a supervisor. The past week she received a layoff notice which will become effective after 3 months. The whole project reduced the budgets by about 40% in all the partners were laying off personnel. She moved 4 months ago from La Paz to this small town, and in 3 months more she will have to go back. She supervises 9 community volunteers. She is worried about what will happen to her volunteers and consequently to the communities they serve. When somebody asks, what is the Community Health Project, we generally intend to describe the operative aspects of it or its health components. But we thought it would be better to present the persons and their problems first, and then talk about the project and how it is affecting their lives. Community Health Project works through 8 groups of NGOs in 4 regions of Bolivia. It is a project addressed to various groups of persons. One group is the mestizo. Generally, they have a better status of life, live in more concentrated or urbanized areas, and practice some commerce and provide some services. Another group is the Quechua, most of them bilingual and probably new settlers seeking eagerly a piece of the Pachamama land to cultivate wherever it is available, even in areas of low production and drought. There is also the Guarani group, still living together, separated from other groups for language and culture, and strongly defending the right to have and keep large families as the means for their subsistence. The 4 regions assigned to the project are as diverse as its people. One is a rich region that produces oil and shares with its municipalities some of the revenues. Another region is located in a very productive land full of foreign Mennonites that use imported technology and compete with locals in the cultivation of soya beans and sunflowers. There is another region of fertile jungles because it's part of the Amazonian basin, very distant from the big cities, limited in infrastructure but surrounded of green vegetation. It is also frequent to find less fortunate areas with lands tired of long exploitation and almost abandoned because of the limited capabilities for production. The majority of the population of the area of the project lives in poverty, with almost non-existent infrastructure. Those who live in urban areas enjoy electricity and piped water, but those in rural and dispersed areas lack roads, electricity, no drinkable water, sporadic means of transportation, and distant health facilities. As we traveled and recorded these home visits, many questions came to mind. Is this volunteer prepared for changing the health practices of the community? If not, what will be the right preparation? How much does his community expect from him? Are communities happy enough to receive education and advice? Some communities expressed that they expect the volunteer to distribute and manage emergency medicines and attend births. How useful are the graphic and text materials given to volunteers for their home visits? Are those the ones they need, or are they too many or not enough? How much the volunteer retains from what he was taught in the workshops about practices he has to promote? How skillful can the volunteer become in interpersonal communication, counseling, and negotiation needed for promoting and changing the practices of their community? We found some answers and also captured many meaningful facts. We saw these volunteers full of goodwill and devotion. They were trying to guide their neighbors' health and share with them what they were taught. We were told that many of them do not complain about going at night to check on pregnant women or newborn needing their help. We saw mothers attentively listening to the health volunteer, convinced that because of their poverty, health is still the best value that they need to keep. We saw teachers, nurses, social workers, sociologists, communicators accepting to live in these small towns, walking or driving motorcycles, going to check and encourage their team of health volunteers to do the visits and support them. But we also saw confused, hesitant, and timid volunteers visiting homes. We saw that they have problems finding their correct card to give advice and having problems filling out the report forms. We found that negotiation is still a desirable thing, not practiced by many. But what worried most of all was to know that only 2 of the 5 health components were operating. Most of the volunteers needed more help and guidance to be ready to perform their task alone. However, the project has shortened the implementation time. We wondered if enough time to train the volunteers in the other themes was left, and if the present development was also enough to assure sustainability. On the other hand, many communities were not giving the volunteers the necessary support or letting them address the community health problems in the community meetings. And not many health centers were partnering with volunteers and supporting their activities as we desired. We hope that the analysis from the associates, as well as the next meeting oriented to discuss the findings of this video evaluation, bring all of us refreshing ideas and solutions that would lead to improvements of the project.